Hey, Colin.
Hey Brent, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good, good. Um, you know, there's one thing that always kind of bothers me along this path that's been bothering me. When I had symptoms start about 3 years ago, I noticed certain things physically, what I could eat, what I could drink, um, smoking cannabis, psychedelics, pretty much all these things. Gradually, my body started rejecting.
Hmm.
I think the first thing was meats, like any animal meat, chicken, beef, pork, anything like that. Like that tasted like flesh to me.
Right.
Started tasting revolting. Then it was alcohol, started tasting like poison. And it had very adverse effects. There was no high anymore. It was just kind of a downer.
Hmm.
Um, it went on to, and eventually, like smoking weed just tasted like ash. Kind of adverse effects, more just downer. So all these things kind of, my body kind of just rejected them. And I finally had to succumb to that, over the past 3 years, gradually. Some things it was just like that. But, you know, is this changing us on a cellular level, this process?
Yeah, great question. So what you described is not uncommon, people to become sensitive to all sorts of things, especially things that we put in our body, but also things we can consume in terms of media, being in certain places, being around certain people. So we become very sensitive, very sensitive. Um, in terms of whether the transformation is changing us on a cellular level, I can't say for sure. I suspect so, but if I make a statement like that, I feel like this opens us up in this community to the science people coming and saying, "Well, we can't find any cellular changes, so therefore you're still crazy," right?
Gotcha.
Um, Maybe in time we'll be able to note certain changes, but if we can go more general, alcohol changes us on a cellular level. Since all of these things do change us on a cellular level anyway,
Right.
um, and so when the intelligence says no more of this, I think we see it. I think in one time my daddy he told me, back home in Pakistan, if you had some bad food because they didn't have expiry dates and whatnot. You
Yeah.
have some bad food and you're not sure, you present it to a dog, and a dog is able to say, "Nah, this is not good. It won't eat it." Because a dog has that intelligence. This is not something that I should put in my body. Most dogs, some will eat, a balloon or something, right? But like it has this intelligence. We have this intelligence too, where we become very sensitive to things that don't serve us, drugs, alcohol, certain foods. Um, it's intuitive. It's the same intelligence that we rely on when you think of this idea of intuitive eating, mindful eating. The body knows what it needs, and the body, it's not separate from this intelligence of Kundalini. So I think it is, yeah, it's changing us on a cellular level through our intake, in the same way that exercise changes us on a cellular level, drugs, alcohol, meditation, even as well. If you look at the monks meditating, their brains look very different than the average person who's never meditated. So these things happen.
And another thing, it makes me very paranoid that if I don't do everything perfectly and I intake the wrong thing, if I watch the wrong thing on TV, if I hang out with the wrong person, if I pass judgment on somebody, that this process will never fully integrate. I
Mm.
feel like I need to be, perfect, like a saint for this process to actually fully integrate, you know?
Yeah, so this is something many people feel as well. I think it comes from like maybe for everybody it could be different, but the Judeo-Christian Western model of like if you do bad, you'll go to hell and you're a sinner. And so
Yeah.
now because we're dealing with, God waking up within us, we feel like we gotta get it right. I don't think so. I think that this intelligence, Shakti, the divine mother, is by default, she's loving, compassionate, and she knows we don't always have like the best, healthiest food available to us. You may feel a little bad if you go to a friend's house and eat something that maybe is not right, but it's not the end of the world. There's the body during this process is very resilient. and we can bounce back. Perfection is, I think that can lead to more harm than actually just being a little bit, doing things in moderation, because perfectionism can, we beat ourselves up. There's great guilt. When we relapse, sometimes they'll have a quote unquote relapse, and it's like a full binge. Like they may say, I'll never drink alcohol ever again. They have a sip and then they're binging or eating something or whatever it is. Whereas if we just approach it in moderation and just say you can always get back on the path, or you can always just, get back on the bike and keep going. Like there's a lot of grace here is what I mean to say. There's a lot of grace here. Personally, I've done things that maybe were against what my body or the Kundalini wanted. And yet one thing that, it could bring me to tears is that still she continues to bless me. And that is like, even my imperfect, sinner, lowly, egoic person here, still she comes and says, no, it's okay. Right. And so that's where like we just can really allow the Divine Mother to hold us like her child. And we're going to make mistakes. We don't have to be perfect. We do our best. But we don't have to be perfect.
That's nice to hear.
And we see this a lot with the if you get close to any of these saints, sages, these great masters, you see that just like, they're regular people really. And I think there's a great teaching there. You see like, oh, they have flaws, they complain about something sometimes. And I mean, I'm addicted to social media. You might be like, oh, I'm here teaching this group or whatever. And I got my own addictions and things too. And still the Kundalini is not like, she's not damning me to hell. And I don't think she wants that for any of us. I think it also keeps us relatable and real in our service work, because I think for all of us, we go through this process to then be of service to others. Now, if you figure out how to be perfect and you try to be of service to others, it's an unrealistic aim and you're setting an unrealistic example, and people can't relate with you and you're not going to help them anyway. So I think being human and saying, yeah, I have a beer sometimes, or, I watch crap on TV, and it's like, oh, you too? Oh, I can do that for myself too. Okay. Then people can hang out with you and we can grow together. So that's my take on those types of, moderation, no beating ourselves up. We do our best, but best doesn't mean perfect. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's great, Brent. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.